Well, hey there, and welcome to my channel. My name is Crafty Kathy, and I'm the owner and creator behind Kids Vintage Farmhouse in beautiful Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I am so happy and thankful that you chose to stop in and craft and spend a little time with me today. Now, I've been working on some vintage-inspired Halloween DIYs that I think you're really going to like. I got my items from Dollar Tree, Dollar General, and one of them I even pulled out of the garbage can, so it was absolutely free. I really like that because, my goodness, the price of things these days is outrageous. So I try to keep the price down for you guys as much as I possibly can. But without further ado, let's jump into these vintage-inspired Halloween DIYs and let me know what you think. For our very first DIY, the supplies we're going to need is going to be this Dollar Tree crate. I got this one from the plus section. It's $3. It's much larger than the one that's $1.25, but you can use that one if you need to. And we're going to need some of the Halloween fabric. I couldn't believe that I got a hold of the ones from the Dollar Tree. We're actually only going to need a small square from one of these. And then at my local Dollar General, I found these gorgeous little skeletons the other day. They were just $1 a piece. They're hear no evil, speak no evil, and see no evil. I could not believe the quality of these for $1 a piece. You would never find that at Dollar Tree, so definitely keep your eye out for Dollar General. They have good DIY stuff. I'm going to use my favorite paint, my DIY paint in the color Black Velvet, which is exactly what it dries down to look like. I'm going to paint the outside and the inside of this crate with the black. I get all of my DIY paint from www.miltonsdaughter.com. Lori, the owner, is amazing. So last week, I made a post on the channel and asked you guys, would you rather see fall DIYs or Halloween, or did you want me to continue with those Dollar Tree hack videos that I had been doing recently? And most of you guys said fall. But the reason why I did the Halloween first is simply because these ideas have been stewing in my mind all summer long. So guys, I just couldn't wait another minute to get these ideas out of my mind and make them a reality. And there's just something so special about vintage Halloween. It takes me back to a sweet and innocent time in my mind, way back when I used to go trick-or-treating. And guys, I just want to take a minute to welcome you to my channel. If you haven't subscribed to it yet, you just hit that red button and you'll become a part of our family. And there's a bell beside it, and if you hit that, YouTube's going to let you know every time that I put out a video. Also, if you enjoy my content, give me a thumbs up. That's the like button because it really helps me out on YouTube. It helps to push my videos out there to people who've never seen me before, and I thank you so much for doing that. Now back to the DIY. I'm going to pull out this gorgeous piece of fabric that I got at Dollar Tree. I think they came out with 5 different designs this year. I got 2 of each one because I'm never able to find their fabric. Now I'm going to put this fabric on the inside of my box, but the way that I measured it was to flip it over on the back. And the print on this is black and white. So I'm going to use a copper colored washable marker. That way I can mark it to show myself where to cut at. Then once I got my piece cut out, I just laid it inside my box to make sure that I cut it correctly. Now if you didn't cut it perfectly, don't worry about that. You're not going to be able to see any difference. Now I went and grabbed my Mod Podge, and the first one that I got a hold of is the one that I used. It really doesn't matter what type of Mod Podge you use, and you're just going to put it all down on the inside, and that is what you're going to place your fabric on top of, and then you're just going to use your hands to smooth it out. I like to kind of start from the middle and work my way out to make sure that my lines are correct. I started off by doing just a half of the box, and then I did the other half the same way. I just use my fingers to smooth it out and make sure everything goes exactly where it's supposed to go. The next thing we're going to do is add some lights. And I got these battery operated lights from the Dollar Tree, and I believe that there are 12 lights on this strand, and I chose the color orange just because it's classic and I thought that it would look good. And also, if you look at a lot of the older vintage style decorations, they all have that color of orange. I was going to use like tacks to kind of tack this up, but I found out very quickly that that's not going to work. The box was just too hard to pop the tacks through. So what I decided to do was just use some hot glue. And I know that it's kind of hard to see what I'm doing, but I'll show you in just a minute. I had to lay the box in a way where I could see what I was doing, so I could get in there, you know. But basically what I did is put down 3 lights on each side, since there was a total of 12 and you have 4 sides on your box. So the first ones, I wanted them to go in the back of the box and kind of be standing up and look like little torches. And that's exactly what I did. And all I did was just put like a very thin line of the hot glue, and it just stuck right to it very easily. You don't want to put too much of that hot glue because it might burn your wire and mess your lights up. And then the next thing we're going to do is go up the side of our box. And I wanted those lights to come all the way out to the very front of that box. So I just kind of laid them on their side, if you will, and I glued them in the exact same fashion as I did the other ones. Now all of these lights, I pulled them out to the front of the box where they would be flush with the box. And I know it's really tough to see it, but I'm going to show you in just a moment what I did so it will all make sense. Just be sure to use your finger protectors. I usually learn this the hard way, but it just makes it that much easier for you because when you put your line of glue, you can actually hold that light to the side of the box without worrying about burning your fingertips off. Here is a much better view of what I did with the lights. The part that's going to be the bottom of the box, those 3 lights are in the very back. And then the rest of the lights basically are laying on their side, and they're all the way up to the front of the box. And like I said, I put 3 lights on each side because there's 4 sides on my box here. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. I'm sorry that you couldn't see it very well. I always glue my battery packs on the back where they're out of sight, and I make sure that I leave that one area face up where I can change my batteries and where I can also flip the little switch on and off with ease. That way I'll never have to fool with this battery pack again or take it off of my box. And so far, here's what our box looks like with all our pretty lights inside. I got these styrofoam bones from the Dollar Tree, and I didn't want them to be that stark white color, so I got my DIY paint can in the color crinoline, and it was literally dry. There was no paint left in there, so I added a little bit of water and just kind of put a little bit of color on these bones to make them look a little bit more realistic. For years and years, I've been wanting to try Rub and Buff and just never did. But last week, I got my first shipment. It came in 4 different containers of different colors, and I got it off of Amazon. It's in my Amazon store if you want to try some of it out. But it's a wax. It's not a paint, it's a wax. And I just wanted to color in the eyes of my little skeletons. I just thought that it would look so much better if they were darker and just seemed like they went on forever. Now here's what they look like side by side. And if you ask me, what makes your crafts different is it's in the little details. I'm telling you, it really makes a difference. So I only have 2 skeletons where you can actually see their eye sockets, and I went ahead and colored both of those. And then I have this piece, it's a resin mold that I made probably about a month ago, and I just saw it laying on my desk, and I wanted to see what it would look like with some of that black wax on it. Now, I just went over it very sloppily because I wanted a little bit of that white to show through. I'm going to place this over the lights, and I want the lights to be able to come through. I've got this huge roll that I don't know where it came from of black tulle, and I'm just going to like pull off pieces of it. I want them to look messy. I don't want it to be cut and have perfect edges. I just ripped a few pieces of it off. And I'm going to place this down toward the bottom part of my box. And then I have this pick, and it's actually just a piece of a pick that came off of one of my Halloween decorations from last year. Now, I think it was a pick from the Dollar Tree, and I just kind of cut it up. I'm just going to put a little line of glue and put that up toward the top of my box. Now my little bone pieces are dry, so I'm just going to kind of lay them underneath that tulle. No special manner, I'm just kind of sticking them in there every which way. I'm going to take one of my little sparkly spiders, and this came from a pack from the Dollar Tree. I think there's about 6 or 12 in there. And I put some of the glue up toward the head of it because I want it to look like it's crawling around the side. And I glued it down. And now I'm gluing my little resin piece right over that light on the top in the center. And I was right, it did shine through and look really cool. Then I grabbed all my little skeletons and I pulled the tags off the bottom of them. I put just a little bit of hot glue on the bottom of them because I may want to use these in a different decoration. So I just put a little bit of the glue and set each one of them down in the way that I wanted it to go. Then the very last step that I did is I got this little head and it lights up. I got this one from Dollar General and I think it was $3. I'm going to place it kind of sideways up by my little resin mold and then one of my little pumpkins that came off of a Dollar Tree pick. And that's all there was to this one. I love this one so much. Wait till you see how this one turns out. It's my favorite, a vintage treasure box. I got my little box from the Dollar Tree and my paper came from Hobby Lobby. Now I've already cut this orange and black striped paper, but I was determined to use it. I realized that it's not going to go all the way around my box, so I actually counted how many squares I needed to place it together in the back, which it was only about 4 squares. And you'll see what I'm talking about in just one moment. Now these boxes have a seam that goes down the back of them, and that's where this paper is going to go, so you're never going to see where it's pieced together. I just used my glue stick. It was plenty sufficient for this craft. I just put down my 2 pieces of striped paper, one on top of the other on the back of my box. I make sure that I get plenty of that glue stick around all the corners and the edges of the piece of paper, and then I just use my fingers to kind of smooth it out. I only had this one piece of paper, but if I had my way, I would have had a whole sheet. The paper is a 12 by 12. It would have been so much easier just to be able to wrap that piece around there. But I had to work with what I had, and that's why I'm piecing mine together this way. I go around the box with those 2 longer pieces of paper, and you see in the back, they just connect right over those 2 smaller pieces, and you can't really tell that they were just seamed together that way. Also, we're going to add more decorations and embellishments, so you're never going to notice that anything is any different. So I went around and added my 2 longer pieces of paper the exact same way that I did those 2 smaller pieces, one on top of the other. And there is a tiny, maybe half-inch little piece up at the top where you can still see the red of the box. But remember, you're going to close that box down and you're never going to see that part. And for me, it wasn't worth it to cut one tiny little piece of paper all the way around. You know what I'm saying? So if you want to just make sure that you can't see anything like that, just cover it up. But like I said, you're never going to see it once the top is placed on the box. And then I take the very top of my box. I'm going to use like this Harlequin type black and white paper for it. I just measured it out and I cut my circle down. And I'm going to do the exact same thing like I did on the sides. I'm going to use my glue stick. I just feel that using that glue stick is so much easier. You don't have to worry about wrinkles and it sticks perfectly. The way that I got the sides of the top of that box is I laid it down on its side and made a straight line and just cut it with my little paper cutter. I made sure to put the sides on before I put the top of that box on because I just felt that it would be easier that way. So I did have to cut 2 little stripes to make it go all the way around, but once again, you never notice any difference once it's cut and placed together. Now we're just going to place the top part right on and just make sure that you get that glue stick all around the edges very well and it will stick perfectly for you. I've got a piece of tulle that I had pulled off earlier and I'm going to lay this down on the top of my box. Now, I don't know what I was doing by thinking that that glue stick was going to hold that tulle to the top of that box. I don't know. I can't answer that, what was in my mind at that moment. But you see, I just put a couple little beads of glue around my box there, pulled the tulle around, and if there was any hanging down over the side of that box, I just cut it off. Yeah, that's one of those moments I'm like, what? Now, for the most part, our box is finished right there, but we are going to do some embellishments to cover over where I had to piece my paper together. I want to show you this postcard book that I came across at a yard sale about a week ago. I could not believe that I found these, and the lady only wanted 50 cents for each little book. Now, one of them is a sticker book. They're all vintage postcards, which is amazing, and they're a great size. I don't have to copy these off of the internet, which most of us have seen these pictures, but I have them on an actual postcard, and I wanted to use one of these on the top of my box, but to keep it Dollar Tree, I found these tree toppers, y'all, and I absolutely love this one with the witch. She is going to be a perfect addition on the top of this little treasure box. Now, I wanted to put a little sparkle to her, though, and I have this orange glitter that came from the Dollar Tree also. I'm just going to put some Mod Podge on her and then just pour the glitter on. And first, I just did it on the broom to kind of see what it was going to look like, and I really liked it. It really made it stand out, and it just was absolutely gorgeous. I love these tree toppers. I went back and got about 3 or 4 of these because imagine all the DIYs we can use these in. And I had to share this. I've been laughing for about an hour. This witch bears a strong resemblance to my Aunt Sheila. And it's okay because we always give each other a hard time. She's hilarious. Now, to get my tree topper to stand up on the top of this box, what I did was cut 4 holes in the top of the box. I just placed them toward the center. They don't have to be in any certain order or fashion. What I'm going to do is take a small tie wrap. I'm going to go up through one of the holes and loop it around the bottom part of this little tree topper and back down through the other hole. And it's going to hold her down there perfectly. I did put those holes in the box far enough apart so that I could put one tie wrap on one side of that tree topper and the other tie wrap that I'm going to use is going to go and hold the other side down. That way she wouldn't be warped or just held down on one side. She's going to have a good stable hold on top of that box. I took a wad of that tulle that I had pulled off from earlier, and I'm going to glue it down behind my witch. I'm going to glue some all the way around the box, but I'm really focusing on getting this tulle to kind of stand up behind my witch so that it would really like accentuate her and just kind of, complement her. I've got another set of lights from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to place these behind the witch on the box. What I did was make a couple more holes behind the witch there. I'm going to run my tie wrap up and around the cord of the lights so that it will hold those lights in place. Run my tie wrap back down and just click it together, and that is going to hold those lights perfectly. Now you can either put the battery pack down inside your little box, or you can do like I did and just glue it to the back of the box. Either way, you're not going to be able to see it. I just ended up gluing mine down to the back of the box. And I don't want any of y'all to think that I'm a terrible person because I was messing with my Aunt Sheila. She's actually the person that I got my humor from, and we just always joke around and play around with each other. But you have to admit, there is a strong resemblance there. And I took another one of those little striped pumpkins off of a pick, and I'm going to place that right at the bottom in front of all that tulle. Then I'm going to take some of my thinner Dollar Tree ribbon, and I'm going to go around the center part of my box, and I'm also going to go around the bottom part of the box. That way, in case any of those seams that I've made by cutting all that paper are going to show, they'll just be covered up by this ribbon. You'll never know that I had to piece my paper together. But if you have one straight piece of paper, you're not going to have to worry about all that cutting and stuff that I had to deal with. I grabbed a couple of black buttons from one of my little Dollar Tree button jars, and I'm going to place them like I always like to do my buttons. I like to put one big one and then one kind of on the side of that one, if you will. And then here is where I'm just placing that bottom strip of ribbon at the bottom of my box. Now we're just adding all the finishing touches. I did take the other piece of that little Halloween pick that I had, and it was kind of falling out of the top of the pick, and I wanted to use the whole pick. So I took some electrical tape and just kind of wrapped it around the top of that, or you can use floral tape, it doesn't matter. Just something that's going to hold your little pick together. And I cut it off so that it would be standing up exactly where I wanted it behind my witch. And I'm just going to place it down almost at the side of my battery pack so that it's not going to fall over and it's going to be nice and stable back there. I grabbed some of the Halloween stickers that I got from Dollar Tree, and I chose this black and white one that says Happy Halloween, and I think that's going to be perfect right in the front and center of my box, so I placed that right on. And it's got a little tab behind it, so it almost comes out 3D. I grabbed another one of my little glittered up spiders, and there are 6 in a pack, and I'm going to place this spider climbing down on the side of that pumpkin. Now here's something that you can leave on or take off. It's totally up to you. But I wanted my box to stand up a little bit, so I'm just going to place mine on the top of this candlestick. And this candlestick did come from the Dollar Tree a couple of years ago also. And here she is. I couldn't stop laughing after I realized who she reminded me of. Now we're moving into the last DIY of the day. And this is the one that I told you I pulled right out of the garbage can. Now this is a Brie cheese box. But if you eat those Laughing Cow little triangle cheese squares, that's a perfect place to get the box too. We're going to make one of those vintage like noise makers that the kids used to play with. We're going to stick some beads in there, and it doesn't matter which ones because you're never going to see them. They're just in there to make a bunch of noise. I'm going to put a small dab of glue, one on each side of my box, just to hold my box together. And here is my paper squares before I actually cut them up. I'm going to use this one that's polka dot, and I'm going to measure the top of the box, and then I'm going to flip it over and measure the bottom of the box because each one has a little different in size because of that lip that goes down over the top of it. And I'm just going to cut those two pieces of paper out. And once I get them cut out, I'm just going to place them on my little box the same way that I did before. I'm going to use a glue stick, making sure that I get plenty of that glue around the corners. I'm going to measure the amount of paper that I need the same way that I did before. Lay my box on my side and make a little straight line. And then I'm going to trace that out and cut it off with my paper cutter. Then I'm just going to add plenty of my glue stick like before, and I'm going to place that right along the side of my box. Now, it's important, I think, to go ahead and put the top and the bottom of your box on, and then put the side on. And you will have to do like before and make one more cut because there's a little area in the very back of your box that's not going to be covered if you don't. I lifted up the edges that I had already laid down and tried to place that smaller piece down in between them just because I felt like it tucked it away a little bit better and it's not as easily seen. And then I just measured 2 inches with my little paper cutter here. And I'm just going to cut a couple of pieces of this paper off to make our little rosettes. I've always loved the vintage Halloween and vintage Christmas, but this is the first time I've ever made a rosette of my own. And all you do is just fold it on one side and then flip your paper over and fold it the opposite way. You do that all the way down to the bottom. And you're going to have to do 2 pieces so that it will come around and make a circle, and you're going to have a perfect little circled rosette. And the way that I put my rosettes together was just simply to glue the 2 ends together, and it just makes a perfect little circle. I got this free printable off the Johanna Parker website. Now, she is one of my all-time favorites for vintage Halloween. Now, normally when you print this out, it's in color already, but my color ink was out on my printer, so I literally had to grab a marker and just color it myself. But it's okay because it made the very vibrant oranges and yellows in the picture just really pop. When I finished coloring up my cat, I cut it out and I actually made 2 of those rosettes that I had showed you from earlier. One of them I made from the polka dots, the other from the stripes. And so I just glued him down onto the one with the polka dots and then glued that one on top of the one with the stripes. I painted this dowel orange that came from Walmart, and that's going to be what you hold your little noisemaker with. I made a hole in the bottom of my cheese box with my scissors, put a little bit of glue, and stuffed the dowel right up inside. Now all that's left to do is embellish this baby. I took some ribbon from Dollar Tree and cut it at varying lengths, and I just tied that around the bottom part of my noisemaker. And then I took a little pre-made bow that I have that I get at Christmas time from Amazon and stuck it underneath the cat to make it look like he was wearing a bow tie. Hey, if you stuck with me through this whole video, I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of y'all for coming in and stopping and spending your time with me. I hope that you like my vintage-inspired Halloween DIYs. Please let me know what you think. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and hit that bell beside it so YouTube will let you know every time that I upload a video. Also, please, if you did enjoy this content, give me the big thumbs up. That's the like button, because that helps me out more than anything with my videos. It helps to push me out there to people who've never seen me before, and I greatly appreciate if you would do that for me. And right now, my videos come out every Monday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I sure do hope to see you there. And if you did like this style of video, I have one more right here that all you have to do is click on if you want to watch it. It has similar content, so I figure you're going to like it. And guys, I love y'all so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Lord willing, and the creek don't rise. God bless you.